Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we're here for another poetry discussion, which will appear in the poetry discussion playlist here on the channel. This is a poem from Gerard Manley Hopkins, and it's known as The Windhover. Now, before we get into it, I have to say that this is not going to be a hardcore interpretation of the words on the page, but rather this discussion will be a bit of a reflection on what is going on here. But the poem itself reads as such. I caught this morning's minion, kingdom of daylight's Dauphine, dappled dawn drawn falcon in his riding of the rolling level underneath him, steady air and striding high there, how he rung upon the rein of a wimpling wing in his ecstasy, then off forth on swing, as a skate's heel sweeps smooth on a bow bend, and the hurl and gliding rebuffed the big wind. My heart in hiding stirred for a bird, the achieve of the mastery of the thing, brute beauty and valor and act, oh, air, pride, plume here, buckle, and the fire that breaks from thee then a billion times told lovelier, more dangerous, oh, my chevalier. No wonder of it, sheer plod makes plow down Sillon. Shine and blue beak embers, ah, my dear, fall, gall themselves, and gash gold vermilion. Vermilion. One thing that stands out sort of immediately is the poetic devices used here are ones that we sort of consider to be outdated in today's poetry, but do they need to be? I caught this morning's minion, kingdom of daylight's Dauphine, dappled dawn, drawn falcon, in his riding of the rolling level underneath him, steady air and striding high there, how he rung upon the rein of a wimpling wing. The rhythm that is uh, brought forth by the word selection, brought forth by the vowel consonant relationships, I think, the alliteration. These are things that we have sort of let die from poetry. We hear them, and it's as if we are no longer impressed by them. And that is where I want to spend the discussion for this poem. We let these things in this poem glide off of us the way that the falcon lets the wind glide through its wings. We do not really register those things, which is ironic for this poem in particular. Our speaker here is in awe of a bird, in awe of a falcon. Guys, this happened to me just a couple years ago. There was a while there where what I was doing in the morning during the summers was I would stand on my deck and write that way. Uh, the morning sun, the warmth, all of these things, the birds chirping. I always liked the birds chirping, right? And I always thought that was nice until one day I'm out there and the birds are going at it and I'm kind of getting into my writing, but nothing too particularly heavy. And I am struck by silence. What is going on? Did all of the birds in the sky and the trees drop dead suddenly? And I start looking around. I don't even see any of them. And there's always squirrels. There's always squirrels around my apartment, just inching around and jittering about. But there were no squirrels. And I thought, oh, okay, I've lived through it. That was the rapture. All the birds and squirrels, they've been raptured, and here I am. It makes sense. But it wasn't the rapture. In that bright day, suddenly, I was in the dark. And I looked up. The biggest bird I have ever seen was circling around. It was a falcon, great big falcon. Wings must have been just about my arm width. His wingspan must have matched my wingspan. And man, was that sucker big. And he circled around a couple more times, and I watched him land a couple apartments down on the roof that covers their stairway. That was so. There is oftentimes in Hemingway this great respect for the bull and the lion. The greatness that you have to bow to. Guys, I felt that way with that falcon. It was wild. He still sticks around here, right? I guess this is around where he lives. And everything, the birds, the squirrels, all the little critters, knew when that sucker's flying about, you don't want to be the squeaky wheel. When that guy is up there in the sky, you do not want to stand out. You do not want to be the one that draws attention. I don't remember ever being in awe like that of an animal. Now, living in the Midwest, there's not too terribly many big animals. Even the deer that you see, they're not that big. They are not awe-inspiring, even the bucks. I mean, sure, you can look at them and think, yeah, if that guy charges me, I'm pretty toast. But nothing like that falcon. We have lost, I think, in the same way that we have lost appreciation for these poetic tools. We have lost respect and awe in some way for nature. When that bird showed up, man, he was king. How have we become so cynical? So cynical as to see one of these giant hawks floating about, wind hovering, or they just sort of cruise up there, sticking in the same spot, and thought, how have we gone from, at some point, have you ever heard of the terror bird? Look it up if you have not. We went from being prey type animals to being so dominant that we're pessimistic and afraid of nothing. We have gone from being impressionable in our reading, kingdom of daylights, Dauphine, dappled dawn, drawn falcon. That used to impress us, to now, oh, look how cutesy this poem is. Is it necessary to be so negative? Is it profitable to take so much to please us? should we strive to be simpler rather than more complex? The fool and the wise sage are the same archetype? Is that what they say? Was that Jung? The fool and the wise man, the old wise man, the sage, are the same thing. Should we be easier to impress? That's all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other poetry lovers, other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button. There is literature on the channel there's poetry on the channel every Monday. There's literature on the channel all the time, and I hope to have you back for the next one.